Hey, I'm Walter. I'm the team lead for the IPS signature development team. It is Tuesday, March 13th, and guess what? It's Patch Tuesday again. In this month, just a handful of bulletins getting released. Well, actually one more than a handful, and that's kind of good news because I'm still suffering from the after effects of switching to daylight savings time. This month, there are no earth-shattering kabooms, so let's just tear right through them. The first one, MS12-017, this is the vulnerability in DNS Server. This addresses one CVE. It is rated important. It is a denial of service vulnerability. This affects limited platforms. On those platforms, you would also need to run DNS, and DNS is not enabled by default, so keep that in mind. MS12-018, this is the vulnerability in Windows kernel mode drivers. This also addresses one CVE. It's rated important. This is an elevation of privilege vulnerability. There are no workarounds identified, and the attacker would have to log onto the system in order to execute an attack. MS12-019, this is the vulnerability in direct write. This is rated moderate, addresses one CVE. It is a denial of service vulnerability. Direct write needs to be installed on the system. So if it's not installed, you're also not going to get offered the update from Microsoft. The next one, MS12-020. The vulnerability is in remote desktop. This one addresses two CVEs. One of those is worse than the other. The bulletin itself is rated critical. It does carry a possibility of remote code execution. RDP is not enabled by default. So if RDP is not enabled, you are not at risk. There are some workarounds available for this, so if you cannot roll out the patch, do check those and possibly put those into place. And then MS12-021, the vulnerability in Visual Studio. This one also addresses one CVE. It's rated important, carries with it the possibility of an elevation of privilege, and the attacker here, again, needs to be able to log in locally. And to round out this month, we've got one last one. This is MS12-022, the vulnerability in expression design. This addresses one CVE. It's rated important. There's a possibility of remote code execution. And you know what? Hey, what's a monthly update without our old friend, the file load vulnerability? This one is a DLL load vulnerability. The unsuspecting victim could open a legitimate .xpr or .design file, and a malicious DLL could be contained in that same directory and could therefore load. So just be careful when opening files from remote or untrusted sources. So that's it. Pretty quick month, and we'll see you in April.